Yeah, they'll see it. All right. This is Stephen Heflin, my comp speech class. My thesis, being labeled an adulterer and having to live with the consequences of what I've done. Decisions I've made. It's been a fairly hard road that I've had to walk since the things I've done. The reason I'm talking to you guys about it is because I would really love for the things that I've done to keep you guys from making the same mistakes that I've made. And if anything could come out of my wrongs, that would probably be the ultimate blessing to me. The one thing that this adultery has taught me in my life is that relationships mean the most. So that being said, I guess it's going to start like this. Hi, my name's Stephen and I'm an adulterer, or at least I was. God has definitely redeemed me through his infinite mercy and grace. But I've had to go through a lot of hard, what do they call it, rocky roads or ups and downs, the life of hard knocks. And everything that I've had to go through has been a direct result of what I did and the actions that I chose. If there is one thing that I've learned along the way is that adultery doesn't do anything but destroy the relationships of the people that you love the most and the people that are around you, the relationships that you've built. The ripple effects for me are still felt even today. The results of my choices are still seen today, and the indiscretions, indiscretions because there has been more than one, which I'm very much ashamed to say. This is my discretions occurred years ago. Sometimes it takes a person a few times of going around the same mountain before the lesson's been learned, or what needed to be learned is learned. But I'll get to more to that later. According to Infidelity, 40% of unmarried relationships and 25% of marriages see at least one incident of adultery in its lifetime. An issue of marriage and divorce journal also says, or it states that 70% of all Americans engage in some kind of affair during their marital life. The first time it happened, I was on my way to Afghanistan, right when the war started. The night before my wife and I left each other, we were fighting. The time you think that you're going to be making love to your wife, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen at war. You don't know if you're going to come home. Instead of us being in each other's arms, we were at each other's throats. And I actually ended up somewhere that I didn't know I was going. And one thing led to another. It wasn't planned. It just kind of happened. I was married less than a year. I was completely unhappy in my marriage. Marriage did not turn out to be what I thought marriage was going to be. Like everything I thought marriage was, it was definitely not. My expectations of marriage and what it was supposed to look like, it wasn't that at all. I wanted to leave my wife, but then I found out she was pregnant, so I did what I thought was the right thing to do, and I stayed in my marriage because of my kids. And this her being pregnant really changed things, and the fact that I felt obligated to stay with her was because of the kid, like I said. And going to war definitely didn't help matters. I didn't know if I was gonna die. After it happened, I told my wife what happened, which is probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to tell someone. I had to see that life that she had, that hope in us, it was just ripped from her, and you could totally see that in her face, in her eyes. Obviously, I told her I would never do it again, especially after I saw that I wrecked her self-esteem and her confidence, and the trust that she had in me was no longer there. But I still didn't really learn. According to a study published in the journal Archives of Sexual Behavior, the individual who has been unfaithful in a relationship is 3 times more likely to do it again. And again, sadly to say, I guess I'm living proof that is a reality. I had multiple affairs, and it took me took some time for me to fess up. It also took time to figure out what kept me in that cycle, because I never thought that I would be the guy that would cheat. Never thought I would be that guy. Relationships meant the most to me. All I ever wanted to do was be a husband and a dad. But my promises were fleeting. Words are crap. Words are crap. They don't mean nothing. It's action. And I still could not perform. I promised I would never do it again because I truly was remorseful for what I had done. I made rules and guardrails to keep me safe, and I still didn't follow those guardrails. My wife asked why, and even to this day, it was never because someone was prettier than my wife. It was always because I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel wanted. I didn't feel like I was enough. And that one person at that one particular time made me feel like I was enough, that just being me was enough, that I was worthy of love and worthy of being wanted. And I fell for that. The devil truly knows where I was weak at. The relationships that I didn't realize that would be effective were my kids, my co-workers, my extended family, my co-workers. At this point, I was 15 years in a Marine Corps career as a recruiter. Last indiscretion, I was taken out of recruiting. I was denied re-enlistment. I was no longer the hero to my kids. my wife, where I was always in question. Who I was with was always in question. And to feel like no matter what you do, you're always a liar, or that you can't be trusted, was a very hard reality check. And it's still, even today, my wife will come and take my phone and start looking through my text messages or my emails, and it's still hard to accept. I mean, I do it freely. I mean, because I want her to trust me. I want to build that trust, and I want her to be confident in our relationship. So those are the little things that I do. My sister, when she found out what had happened, she asked me why would I do something that would affect the relationship that she was going to have with her niece and nephew. And at that time, you don't think about anything but you. You don't think about your kids. You don't think about the people around you. You don't think about your career, how people are going to see you. You're just consumed with maybe your unhappiness. And that's what I was consumed with. I had to rebuild the trust in my kids. I've had to rebuild the trust in my wife. The people around me had to deal with my bad decisions. Like I said, I was taken out of recruiting, and all the work that I was supposed to do was now put in their lap. My aha moment that I think that has helped me the most is realizing that I had an addiction. I grew up in a family with a dad that, how would you say, was also addicted to sex and pornography. Lust was a big issue, but no, it was never identified as lust or a problem. I had no idea that was an issue, that thinking of a girl physically as an object was wrong, because everybody around me did it. So why it was just what we did. It wasn't a problem until I was shown and realized that that's what it was that kept leading me down the same path of adultery. This behavior and the way of thinking had ruined my marital life. One of the times, I may have gotten saved. I got married. My mindset hadn't changed. I still had the same lust problems and behavior issues because of the way that I grew up. I didn't realize that I was hurting myself, and that is probably one of the biggest takeaways. Like, yes, you hurt the people around you, but you actually hurt yourself probably more so than anyone around you, more than your wife or the person that you cheated on. You hurt yourself because it really starts to affect the way that you look at yourself as a man, as a person, as a man of God, someone that is supposed to be looked up to, but you can't even look up to yourself after doing something like that. But my conclusion to this, that I had to realize that I needed to change, and the only way that I could the only way that I learned that I needed to change is I was faced with the reality of losing my wife, my kids. My wife went and filed for the divorce. It is only by the grace of God that we're still married. Losing my kids. Proverbs 5:23 says that for your ways are in full view of the Lord, and he examines all your paths. The evil deeds of the wicked ensnare them, and the cords of their sins hold them fast. For lack of discipline they will die, lead astray by their own great folly. God was examining my path and the decisions I was making. I was reckless, and it took almost losing everything that I'd worked for up to this point before I realized that it was God that had the power to change me. That's my speech. Thank you very much.